What's up, YouTube? Alright, so today we're talking about free will. Now, there are different conceptualizations of free will, and I think that there's much better videos on YouTube that explain that, like libertarian free will and other forms of free will, and they pretty much have different concepts of what makes will free. Now, I'm going to be talking about specifically my understanding of it. Now, personally, I don't believe in libertarian free will because libertarian free will claims that if you're making a decision, if you're making a choice, then the will is free. Now, I believe that the will is only free if there is no influence from anything else. Because let's say that your will is leading you to eat a cookie. Now, your will made a decision to eat the cookie. You acted, you ate the cookie. But why did you eat the cookie? The will didn't just sprout this idea of eating the cookie out of nothing. There is a concept of the cookie that you have in your mind. There's a feeling and an emotion. There's a feeling and a thought behind it. There's an experience. Last time you ate a cookie, it was delicious. It made you feel good. It's a comfort food, blah, blah, blah. It made you feel this. It made you think that. You believe that the cookie is add something to your life, blah, 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 right? So ultimately, your will is guided by these other internal and external things that lead you to wanting the thing. What is the difference between the person that wills to eat the cookie and the person that will not eat the cookie? Obviously, there are different understandings of the cookie in these people's mind. The person that eats the cookie believes that the cookie is going to make them feel good, it's going to taste good, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, and that makes them will to do it. It makes them want to do it, and they act accordingly to that underlying desires that influence the will. The person that doesn't eat the cookie might have a completely different conceptualization of it. Maybe they think, well, I want to work out, I don't want to gain weight. The cookie has a lot of calories, it has a lot of sugar, it has a lot of this, it has a lot of that. There's all these things influencing the will. And then the question would be, what would it take for these two understandings of the cookie to swap? Like, what would make the person that wills to eat the cookie stop willing it? And what will make the person that doesn't will to eat the cookie to start willing it? And ultimately, it's completely based off of these underlying influences that come from our internal understanding of these things. If the person that wills to not eat the cookie decides, well, I'm allowed one cheat day, one cheat meal, and I want to spend that cheat meal by eating some sweets because they make me feel good. Now their will changes. Now, is the will making the decision on its own? I believe not. I don't think that the will is making the decision on its own. The will is ultimately influenced by all of these other things. So now what I'm going to describe to you is a straight line from experience to action. Now, this is my conceptualization of this idea, this thing that's happening, the mechanism of what leads you to act, what leads you to will something into reality. You see, I believe that you are going to have experiences. Just by the nature of having senses, you will experience things. By having consciousness and awareness, you will experience things. When you experience those things, depending on how you experienced it, it's going to lead to certain thoughts and feelings. Now, if the experience was tinted in such a way that the feelings and thoughts were positive, it would lead you to believe something that's positive about the experience. If that experience was tinted in a way where it's negative, then you would have feelings and thoughts that are negative about the experience, which would lead to beliefs that are negative about the experience. Now, ultimately, these things can be interchanged and swapped depending on how you experience the thing. Every experience has multiple vantage points, multiple perspectives that you can see it from. And depending on the way that you saw it, is going to either tint you in a negative or positive light on that specific experience. So now what happens is you have the experience, then that experience leads you to feel and think things. Those feelings and thoughts lead you to believe things. Now, the belief that you just developed leads you to act in a certain way. You're going to act in accordance to the belief that you have about the thing. If you believe that eating the cookie will make you happy because the last time you had a cookie, you felt good things and thought good things because you felt, wow, this is delicious. I feel comfortable. I feel happy. I feel this. I feel that. I'm thinking this is very tasty. This, whatever, right? Blah, blah, blah. Input random shit here. It ultimately leads you in a direct line to that action. You're going to experience, the experience leads you to feel and think. Depending on what you thought and felt, it's going to lead you to believe. That belief is going to lead you to an action. That action will lead you to a new experience, and that new experience will either fortify or strengthen your current belief or cause you to change the belief. So, ultimately, when you act, it leads you to a new experience. That experience will lead you to a new thought and feeling. And if that thought and feeling is in line with the previous thought and feeling, then you're strengthening that belief. Oh, well, I had this experience. It made me feel and think this. I believe this because of it. And then I acted in accordance to it, and then that led me to an experience that led to a deepening to this belief. Because every time I walk down this line, it leads me back to the same ultimate goal, like ultimate outcome, that this thing feels good or this thing is beneficial in some way. Now, what this means to me is that the will isn't free, it's guided. Your will is guided by these underlying things. You're going to have a experience that's going to make you feel and think something, which is going to make you believe something. That belief is going to lead you to will. It's going to lead you to act, right? When you act, that is your will. That action is going to lead you to a new experience, which leads you to new thoughts and feelings, which leads you to either new beliefs or a fortification of the old belief. And you're going to continue going that line until something breaks it and shows you, oh, that thing that I believed before is incorrect or isn't sufficient, and then you change. Now, this is important because this means that your will isn't free, it's guided by these underlying things, but that doesn't mean that there's determinism. Determinism is claiming that the end, the finish line, the end goal, the final thing is already decided, and that's not true according to my conceptualization of free will, because your will isn't free, it's guided, but ultimately all you have to do is change the belief. And by changing the belief, you ultimately change the actions that come from that belief, meaning that you can override the experience and the thoughts and feelings you had about the experience. As an example, you might have the experience of eating the cookie, and the thoughts and feelings are, this cookie is very delicious and I really enjoy it and it makes me feel happy and I like sitting on the couch watching Netflix and eating a whole bunch of cookies because it makes me feel like this and like that. But then your belief is, even though that's what I'm feeling and thinking, I'm going to not do that because I prefer to eat low calorie, stay in shape, and be more healthy, right? So you can have a experience that leads you to a thought and a feeling, and then choose to believe something in contrary to that. And then this means that ultimately, no matter what experience, thoughts, and feelings you have, if you go into your belief and change it, you can ultimately change the action that comes from the belief by just changing the belief. Which means that if you are going down a certain line and you throw a monkey wrench in there and say, well, this is what I believed because of that, but I see that it's not beneficial, so I'm going to change that belief and believe this because that's more beneficial for me, you can ultimately change the future action, which changes the future experience, which changes future thoughts and feelings and beliefs and new actions. And then ultimately, this means that at any moment, you can do a complete U-turn or a complete detour left turn on the line from experience to action and completely change the direction you're going in, which means that the end, the last thing isn't decided, because at any moment you can change it all just by veering to the left very, very sharply. And I think that's enough of what I'm trying to explain here. Ultimately, what I want to leave you with is the idea that if you have a certain outcome in mind, this is what I want to happen, and you see that your actions aren't leading you to the outcome you want, then what you have to do is bypass the experience, bypass the thoughts and feelings, go straight to the belief. This belief is causing me to act like this, and acting like this is supposed to get me what I want, but it's not. So change the belief. That would lead to a change in action, and you continue doing this until you find the action that does accomplish what you want it to accomplish, which does bring you to the actual outcome that you truly want. And by doing this, you can turn it into a practice and ultimately change your beliefs and tweak your beliefs and tweak your actions, specifically in alignment with the desired outcomes. If you want to be very strong, then you have to believe certain things and act in certain ways to continuously get stronger so that you can get to that outcome that you're looking for, and so on and so on. So this can be from changing beliefs and actions to build better habits, maybe a better diet, a better workout plan, better supplementation, better this, better that, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I think that's everything that I got to explain. If you guys are more curious and you want to understand free will or guided will or any of that, there's tons of awesome videos on YouTube about free will and how it works from these different perspectives. And I would recommend learning what all of these things have to offer, and seeing where do you lie, because ultimately I'm making this video to show you my perspective, but I'm not trying to get you to believe my perspective only and like follow it strictly. I think it would be better to study all of these different understandings of free will and not having free will, and trying to understand what you truly believe. And then once you decided all that, if you realize that it's not truly beneficial, then you can try my way, which is simply to change your beliefs in accordance with actions that will bring you towards your desired outcome. And whenever you commit an action over and over again, and it does not acquire the outcome that you're looking for, then change the action. And the best way to change the action is by changing the belief that leads to the action. Alright guys, that's enough for today. Yeah. Alright, peace out y'all.